Hi, I'm Tim Bradner. Welcome to Capitol Views, and welcome today to newly elected Representative Ashley Carrick of Fairbanks, District 35. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today, Ashley.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Ashley, just to start out, maybe tell us a bit about your personal background. How long have you been in Fairbanks, and what you've done professionally?
Sure, yeah. So I've been in Fairbanks for about 12 years now. I went up there to attend University of Alaska Fairbanks and graduated in 2014. But my family actually is longtime Interior. My grandmother grew up in Fairbanks. My mom grew up in Healy. And when I decided to go to UAF, it was, I like to say, a homecoming, a generation in the making. So I really always felt that Fairbanks and the Interior were my home, and I was really happy to go back there.
When your grandmother was in Fairbanks, what years were those? Did she live there a long time?
She did, yeah. So she grew up there. My great grandfather was one of the founders of Mark Air back in the day, and then later worked for Ween Airlines. And then my grandfather in Healy worked at the Yusuf Valley coal mine, and my grandmother was the librarian at Tri Valley School. And so I kind of followed in their footsteps a little bit. I got a psychology degree at UAF and then started working in education as a substitute teacher, and then later as a nonprofit coordinator with the American Lung Association. Ran for school board unsuccessfully, got my start down here in Juneau, and then worked as a legislative aide for 6 years. Got my master's in public health in 2020, and then worked as the executive director of Tanana Valley Watershed Association. And right now I'm doing this job and also some professional consulting. So kind of jumped all over the place.
That's a good solid background. What committees are you on in Juneau?
Yeah, so I have House Labor and Commerce, and then also House Energy is another committee I will be serving on, and then Arctic Policy is another as well. So super excited, and then the subcommittees that go along with those as well.
Ashley, what just were there any particular strong interest you had when you came down to Juneau, or what really motivated you to want to serve?
Yeah, so I ran on a platform of all in for Alaska. And I think that really encompasses why I chose to run and why I chose to do this public policy work in the first place. I really care about what Alaska looks like, not just 5 years from now or even 10 years, but 50 years from now. And I also really care about what the future looks like for Alaska's children and families right now today. And I think as a younger Alaskan, I'm really equipped to raise that voice in Juneau. And so I wanted to come and be able to do that here as a newly elected representative.
Well, there's a lot of things to learn about and talk about, and I just was thinking about your mom growing up in Healy. Healy is, I've been there several times, and I've had the opportunity to tour the Usabelli mine, and it's a town where everybody works for Usabelli. And I know there's a strong linkage between Usabelli and the University of Alaska Fairbanks. A lot of the people working at the mine are UAF graduates.
Yeah, absolutely. And UAF and the Yusuf Valley coal mine, and just sort of the tie between education and resource development in this state in general, is something that I have a pretty deep personal experience with and something that is important to me going forward.
Yeah, in terms of education, are there any? You're not on the education committee, but are there any particular issues with education that you want to work on? You obviously have an interest in the school board because you ran in Fairbanks.
Sure, yeah. I'm really interested in ensuring stable and predictable funding for K-12 education, as well as stable and predictable funding for the University of Alaska. I've I've worked with the university as a student, a staff, a faculty, and an alumni. So, and the University of Alaska is in my district. And so that is definitely a big priority for me, basically from pre-K all the way through post-secondary education, and focusing on education and workforce development are some of my major goals as a legislator.
So when you were at the university as faculty, what did you teach?
Yeah, so I've TA'd before, and then just this last fall during the campaign season, I had the opportunity to be adjunct faculty teaching introductory psychology at the community and technical college, and that was just a really fun experience and a lot of work. It was great.
Yeah, they load adjuncts out quite a bit of work on their adjunct faculty. What is the I mean, what is the community technical college? How are they doing? Do they have a fair amount of students attending, or what was your experience there?
They do, and a lot of these programs are very high demand, and we see a good influx of students. I think the trick is, and this is true across the board in many professions in Alaska, making sure we're able to retain those employees once they've been trained here. So the idea of having a training pipeline that's really not just adequate, but really supportive, and then also ultimately retaining these employees we train in Alaska. And working at CTC gave me the opportunity to really see that in my own community, how much great work is being done to work with students and help them get through their education and ultimately find successful careers in Alaska.
We've heard a lot about the shortages of workforce and labor demand that's become a major constraint in our economy. And schools like the universities, career and technical, are a part of that. Did you see any indication of concerns of people there for maybe a fall off of interest in jobs or employment while you were there?
Perhaps in certain industries, I think it really depends on the program and the amount of program funding and ability to teach in those different programs too. And all of those things are interconnected. And so, just anything from my perspective that we can do to help bolster education and that workforce development piece, including career and technical education. Even though I didn't personally go that route, it's absolutely an amazing route. And there's so many high demand career opportunities here in Alaska for it.
And a lot of good young people coming out of schools who take jobs. A lot of good jobs to be filled. Anyway, thank you very much, Ashley, for joining us, and I look forward to meeting you when I'm down in Juneau the next time. So thank you.
Thanks.